We are recording. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Hey, this is Tim.
Hey, this is Bob's fake voice.
Yes, and we are Precarious Pixels. And I think we recorded last week, right?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, I get confused. It's been some crazy holiday stuff going on here, and I just forget, like, the last time we met. But
Tim got into the eggnog early.
I did, and I think that stuff is really disgusting, but sure.
It's weird that you got into it then.
Yes. I don't
weird
know why.
that I phrased it that way.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Hi. So yeah, as
like a
always,
dog getting into the chicken.
The chicken,
like the chicken you threw out. Dog goes into the garbage.
Oh,
digs
okay.
through it. Yeah, my dog loves chicken.
I think every dog loves chicken.
But you got into the eggnog like you're not allowed to have it as
Okay.
an adult. Like you just can't drink it, and somehow you smuggled it out of a garbage can somewhere. So think about that. Sour, rotting eggnog that you found in a garbage can.
So you're saying I'm like a dumpster diver?
I don't know what you do.
A trash picker?
In your spare time, you could totally do that.
I can do that, and I will do that if I choose to.
This is America.
That is the American dream, picking old eggnog out of the garbage and drinking it.
You know who else drinks eggnog out of garbage cans?
Who?
Cats.
Cats?
Cats.
Okay.
I would imagine because it's milk related in some way. It's dairy.
Yeah, but if it's spoiled, the cat's not going to do that.
I mean, you know whose cats would if he's not taking care of them. Who has a lot of cats, Tim?
Wow, you're really digging for this segue.
Not like you dug through the garbage.
That's right. Yeah, I the only guy I know that really loves cats, Alf.
Alf, he does. He also digs through garbage.
That's true. But besides Alf,
another weird alien with a long nose.
Hellboy doesn't have a long nose.
He might.
Yeah. But anyways, Hellboy. So they just dropped a new trailer for Hellboy. That was the weirdest, longest, like, cat analogy that, you know, didn't really go anywhere, but kind of got there, and sure.
Just like the space landing. Like the moon landing.
It
60s.
didn't happen.
Where, yeah.
Totally faked.
Completely fictional.
Kubrick shot that.
Kubrick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He talks about it. He's like, I made that
Recently?
movie. Yes.
When was the last time you heard him talk, Tim?
His ghost talked to me. Hold a seance, and I was like, Kubrick, talk to me.
All of a sudden, you're beating your head against the attic.
I did the space landing. I was like, oh, okay, that's good to know.
Hey, Kubrick, what was up with AI? It's Spielberg's fault.
Yes, I didn't make that. And Eyes Wide Shut, I wanted to edit that down. Don't watch it.
I used to make good films.
Yes. This doesn't sound... I don't know what
That's
Kubrick
what it
actually...
like.
Does it? Okay.
100%.
I'm not sure about that, Bob.
What is that?
It's Hal.
Okay.
2001.
I thought you were going like a Jack Nicholson.
I can't do that, Dave.
The Kevin Spacey and Moon.
Oh, yeah.
Where he was basically Hal.
Pretty much. Hal's a crazy dude.
So is Kevin Spacey.
It's true. Yes, but now, getting back to what we were supposed to be talking about, Hellboy. So, they did drop a new trailer for Hellboy. Finally, they had, I think, teased some footage at Comic-Con. If you went to that panel, you got to see some, like, images and stuff like that. So, but this is, like, the first full trailer that they've released with, like, you know, you get to see him in the suit, him in England. I'm guessing a lot of it takes place in England, which is strange.
It seems to. A lot of movies taking place in England.
Yeah,
we'll talk about.
Yeah, we'll get to that one too. But yeah, so it's him in England fighting monsters, people taking shots at him. They obviously know that he exists, so it's like I'm wondering if this is some weird continuation or not. But I have a feeling it's not a continuation of Guillermo del Toro's movies.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Hellboy does not kill people in the other movies.
I don't think so.
And yet.
Well, we don't know. Yeah, so there's some shots in this movie where he's literally taking shots in people's, like, faces. And, I'm not... You know what? They could be... Because the blood comes out, like, black, right? It could be, like, weird... monsters or aliens or something. I'm not even sure what
but
it is
he doesn't
yet.
even fight, like, humanoids. Maybe those elves.
Yeah, but not even so much that. I don't know. Like, a lot of stuff he fights are like ghosts and vampires and stuff, and I don't know.
It's weird, man.
It is really weird.
And
I don't know.
they got the best villain ever playing his dad now. Well, his adopted dad. I mean, it's not his real dad.
Well,
his real dad would, I guess, be Satan?
Yeah. Yeah, Satan or like Beelzebub, or I'm not exactly sure how that all works, but yeah.
So,
the devil.
The devil. Should we explain what Hellboy is? Does anybody not know what Hellboy is? Probably.
Think people know. I mean,
he's a demon and he's got this right handed to him.
Yeah.
And that's it. And like he's supposed to stop the apocalypse or start it.
Start the apocalypse.
But both.
Yeah.
Because he's the chosen one. He's the Anakin Skywalker of Hellboy universe.
Okay. Yeah, so he could either become like a Jedi Master or Darth Vader.
And he always goes a little bit Darth Vader, but he's usually Jedi Master.
Yeah.
Usually the movies have a sense of humor to them. The first two?
Yeah. Like I like the humor that was in the especially the first one. I think was superb. Like it was like that fit like so well into like the comics and all of it.
And I don't know if this one does. Tim and I were talking about it earlier. There's one line in the movie, well, two actually, in the trailer that I guess are comedic.
Right.
One is, "Hey, I'm on your side," when he's getting shot at by his own cops because he's scary looking.
Right.
And the other is like when somebody asks him what his fist is for, he's like, "It's for smashing things" or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but that's what he does. Is that a joke? Is that a punchline?
Yeah, I see. I'm not sure if that's exactly a punchline.
And they do this other weird thing where, all right, we get it. Guardians did it perfect, right?
Right. I think I know what you're gonna say.
Guardians, like, they had that 80s vibe or 70s vibe, like the classic rock vibe throughout the whole trailer, and it fit perfectly. What does Hellboy have to do with Money Money?
Yeah, it was. I know that's what they're trying to capitalize on. And it was weird because it was like, I get that you're trying to do something that's a little bit like, oh, this is fun. You know, this is a fun movie. Come see it for the fun. But also I'm just like, but it is Hellboy, and he fights demons and witches and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know. It just didn't seem entirely to fit correctly, but okay.
They should have done, if anything, Season of the Witch. It was Donovan, whatever. Like, they could have done the Season of the Witch song and just had Hellboy, because literally the villain is a witch.
Right.
From that trailer.
Yes.
And a bunch of other crap.
Right. Yeah, no, and the stuff they showed, there's a lot more of the monsters, like a lot of monsters. I was really kind of surprised. I was like, oh wow, they really threw in a lot of stuff. Because it seemed like in the other Hellboy movies there were monsters, but not as like just, they were peppered in, but this one seems like they're just like full on, like, hey, there's monsters everywhere kind of thing. Like walking through the London Bridge and all that stuff. I was just like, wow.
Yeah, and the PPRD is weird, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ian McShane, like the best bad guy ever, and he's a good guy.
Yeah. And playing a Professor Broom, which is like not, I don't know, I always kind of like figured it would be like the older, like an older actor playing him. I mean, Ian McShane still kind of looks, I don't know, like a little too young to be Professor Broom.
Yeah, because you gotta think, this is modern, right? And he finds Hellboy in World War II. Like, right. Unless that's not canon anymore.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of wondering. Like,
he would be 100 years old.
Exactly.
It's strange.
It is really strange. I'm not sure if they're doing a little bit of a rewrite on this, like how they're changing it. I don't think it's quite an origin movie. It almost seems like they're doing, and I was telling Bob about this, they are doing the story that they do, I think it's called When Darkness Calls, or something like, I forget what, The Wild Hunt is definitely part of this.
Oh, The Witcher 3, yeah.
Yes. Well, no. This is a different Wild Hunt. So Hellboy, they did a series, Wild Hunt, and then there's like another one after that. I can't think of what it's called right now, but there's a Wild Hunt one where he meets with those gentlemen who are asking him, what is his, the hand good for, whatever, blah blah blah. And these guys do like this weird wild hunt where they hunt these like ogres or something like that. But it goes in like a different direction. Like there's a whole other thing to it, and it becomes more about like Hellboy not wanting to be in the BPRD and just like kind of like traveling around and stuff like that.
That could be what they're going for, because he does have the line where he says like, "My father turned me into a weapon." I assume to fight the monsters.
Yeah.
So maybe.
I guess, but that's not even what Professor Broom does. Like he's like that is like most of the monsters they meet. Like sometimes if they're not really like troublemaking monsters, they end up working for the BPRD. Like I didn't see an Abe Sapien. I didn't see.
No, that's because he was in The Shape of Water. He won an Oscar.
Yes, that's true. He did win an Oscar. I found out he was a god. Got this lady who gave her gills. I don't know.
I didn't see it yet.
Oh, you haven't seen The Shape of Water? What's wrong with you?
I don't know.
What's wrong with
I'll watch it someday.
I know I know it's your hang up on it is. It's everybody's hang up.
No, it's not. That's not the hang up.
Oh, okay.
My hang up is always the whole world tells me the movie's the greatest thing that ever happened, and then I watch it and I'm just like, I didn't really like that much. Okay. And I don't want to not like this movie.
I get you.
Like Black Swan is a perfect example.
Okay.
We've talked about it already. I didn't like it at all.
Okay.
And you love this movie.
Oh, I love it.
And Aronofsky is terrible. He made one good movie, and it was called The Wrestler.
The Wrestler?
Yeah, you gotta say it that way.
The Wrestler.
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 There you go.
Okay.
You gotta go wrestling.
Go wrestling.
Wrestling. It's spelled W-R-A-S, one S, L-I-N apostrophe.
Okay.
Yeah, wrestling.
Wrestling.
There you go.
Sure.
That's how you say it. The Wrestler.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Stay away from the meat cutter or slicer or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, you bleed everywhere. It'll be a whole thing.
Yeah, it will be. Have a heart attack. But we'll I don't know, we'll keep watching. Hopefully they release a couple more things that kind of give you a gist of what this is going to be about. I'm skeptical right now. I love the old one so much. Like Ron Perlman played it perfectly, so I'll be interested to see what it is. I'll probably go see it just to see like what the differences are, and if maybe it is a good movie, maybe it's a good different take. But yeah. And speaking of different takes, another movie shot in England. They just released a trailer for Men in Black International. Which
you had actually called the cast of, or did we call the cast before the movie got announced?
We did. We were like, I bet, would be interesting if they did.
Because you said Thor was in it.
Yeah, and I said, they should throw Valkyrie in there too.
And they did.
Yeah, because I was like, they work well together, and she's funny. So,
well, is she?
She is funny, but I don't know about she's playing the humorous part in this. It seems like she's playing the Will Smith part, but it's not really the Will Smith part. I don't know.
No, she's very serious about it.
Yeah, so we watched the trailer shows that she's like a woman who's been trying to find out about the Men in Black for, like on her own.
Yeah, for years.
For years, I've been like trying to hunt you down and find you or whatever. So it just seems weird to me to do it that way rather than what they did in the past, which was, Will Smith had an encounter with an alien, and then he was like, well, I can't really explain it, and then Tommy Lee Jones shows up and said, hey, if you want to get into this stuff, there's a place you can go to, like, kind of, like, have your little interview or whatever.
Yeah, they did the training thing.
They did the training thing.
But it's funny. It's still funny. That's neither here nor there. I can predict what's going to happen for most of the plot of this movie.
Yeah, they do show quite a bit in the trailer.
Like, when she was a kid, this is not in the trailer, but I bet when she was a kid, she has some sort of encounter and sees a glimpse of them, and then she tracks them for the rest of her life. Maybe her parents disappear or something like that.
Right.
Killed them, whatever. Okay.
Or it's like one of those things where it's like, hey, everybody look here, but she didn't look there to like get her mind like erased or whatever.
You're thinking too hard. She was like hiding under a bed or something.
No, I'm betting it's going to be like, maybe she was hiding under her bed, but I'm betting it's going to be something along the lines of like, everybody thought I was crazy because they don't remember that happening, blah blah blah, but I just told them the Men in Black were there and they erased their minds and I sounded crazy. So it's like about her like proving it and trying to find them.
Right. Now think about that character.
Okay.
Okay, put that character in your mind.
Right.
How many jokes is she going to crack?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
That's going to be a serious person.
Right, because it's like you told me I was, everybody thought I was crazy my whole life kind of thing.
Her entire life spent trying to prove herself. Is she going to have a great sense of humor?
No, see that? Yeah, I don't see that happening. I just don't understand where there's... Or maybe that is the take, that she's going to be the more serious one and she takes it very serious, and Thor is going to be the one that's going to be like, I take this as a joke. They even had the part where he like picks up a hammer, which I was like, oh, okay, we're going to go there, are we? And then throws it at a guy, and the guy catches it and throws it back at him. Or no, he beats him with it. I forget what he does with it, but basically the hammer becomes useless, and I'm like, oh, it's a reference to Thor, ha.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't trust it. I'm a little worried. I mean, it could be good. It could be, but the last two...
The last two were not that great.
They were rough.
Yeah. It was tough to watch them.
First one was fine.
First one was good?
There were three, right?
Were there four?
I think there were... Oh, yeah, wait, no. No, there were three.
There were three.
Because the third one had Josh Brolin.
Yes.
As young Tommy Lee Jones.
Right. The first one... And then the second one...
that's the Ally McBeal girl is the bad guy. Was it Ally McBeal?
I don't think it was Ally McBeal.
The dark-haired lady.
Yeah, but... Yeah.
She was also dating Jack Nicholson, I think, at some point?
I think so, yeah. Well, either way, I remember Johnny Knoxville's in it.
I love that we blank out her name, but remember Johnny Knoxville.
Well, I forget her name right now, but yeah. It's just that second one, yeah, it was like okay, like pulling Tommy Lee Jones out of retirement, blah blah blah, and then the third one was just like a weird time travel thing. I don't know. It was really bad. They should have just done when I remember watching the Men in Black cartoons, they were always like good. It was more about the alien part of it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man, I don't know. We'll see. And this appears to be canon. That's the other thing that's weirding me out about it.
Yeah.
Because Nanny McPhee is in it, and she was in the third one.
Yeah, and there's even like a part where they're looking at like paintings of stuff that happened in Men in Black history, I guess, and it shows Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith fighting the cockroach guy from the first one. And
Vincent
I was like,
D'Onofrio.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio. Kingpin.
Kingpin.
So I'm just like, oh, of course, then this all happens. So it's just like their like UK division or whatever, which has Liam Neeson in it. And I'm like, okay, great, Liam Neeson.
Yeah, it'll be great when he's the bad guy.
Do you think that's what it is?
Yep.
I'm betting you're right. Because they're like, we can only get Liam Neeson for one of these.
Yeah, there's no way they get him for two.
He's like, I've taken something from you.
This could be a twist. He's working with the bad aliens all along.
Yep. It's going to be something like that. You betrayed the Men in Black. Or something, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and then it's... And not Will Smith, Thor. Hemsworth? Chris Hemsworth? I always confuse him and Liam.
Right.
Because, they're brothers.
Yeah, they are.
Anyway, but Chris Hemsworth, the apparently talented one. Because Liam doesn't do much that requires talent, I don't think.
Really?
What has he done that's well acted?
Hunger Games.
What has he done that's well acted?
I can't think of anything he's done.
That's right.
Alright,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Expendables 2? Is that what you're going to say? Or 3? Whichever one he was in, where the younger group was there and he was the only survivor, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Immediately kill them all. Stallone's
no, he was in, what's that movie with,
Exactly.
Kate Winslet, The Dressmaker, was really good. You should check that out. I think it's on Amazon or HBO, one of those. Really good movie. A lot of good actors in it. What's his name? Hugo Weaving's in it too.
Oh, I like him.
Yeah, you should watch it.
Voltaire.
Was he in a Voltaire or something?
No, just V.
Oh, V for Vendetta? Yeah, he does an amazing job.
He's a talented dude.
He is. He's a great actor. He's in that, Mortal Engines movie too, right?
Yeah, he's in that. If there's a bad guy, he's that.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's an anti-hero.
It's true.
Sometimes he's just a bad guy.
Sometimes he's the king of the elves.
He is the king of the elves.
That's right.
Where he's not a bad guy.
Yeah.
It's weird. That's one of the few times he's not been a bad guy. I'm trying to think. How many good roles has he been in?
Well, I just saw, like I was saying, in The Dressmaker, he is actually a good cop.
Okay.
V for Vendetta.
Is he that good a guy?
He's a good guy.
He does some pretty horrific stuff.
He does some pretty horrific stuff. I can't think of the other ones. Does
he not torture her for like months?
I don't know about months.
To indoctrinate her into his cult?
Yeah.
I don't know about good guy.
I say freedom fighter, you say cult.
Okay.
Remember the 5th of November.
Yeah, tell me all about the Hellbop comet. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. So, Men in Black, there's a lot more guns, which I was kind of surprised. It was like, wow, they really brought out the guns in this one.
They make a lot of references to the original movie, which my one concern is most of the people that are going to be watching this, well, half the people that are going to be watching this have never seen it. And will never see it. Because we're talking about 20 years ago.
That's true. But I mean, it was a good movie. I think it kind of sticks around a little bit.
I'm sure it sticks around a bit, but when they do the press the red button joke,
yeah,
and then it doesn't take right away, and like half the audience will get it, but that probably wasn't trailer material. You probably should have shown if the movie's a comedy or not.
Yeah, I'm still kind of like, is this... Because even the original Men in Black had a mix of like action and comedy that was like, it kind of fit perfectly, so...
And that comedy was in that trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see either of them being as memorable as Will Smith was in that role.
Yeah.
And Tommy Lee Jones as non-memorable character. Like, they both strike me more as Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, he played the straight man, Tommy Lee Jones.
But that's what I mean. Like, there's so many iconic moments in Men in Black where it's just those two playing off each other. Right. And I don't know if we're going to see it in this one.
Yeah. I don't know if, we'll see. I mean, it seems a little weird right now, but this could just be like the early trailer, and then the next trailer will be the story trailer, and you kind of get to see like what this actually is.
Hopefully.
Or maybe they'll reshoot some stuff, who knows. But, so that came out, we had our Hellboy trailer, and I think like a couple weeks ago, we got a FarCry trailer.
Yeah, New Dawn.
Yeah, switching from movies to video games here. It looked interesting. I was kind of like, all right, so the stuff that happened at the end of the first one actually carried over to this one, and it kind of reminds me of Walking Dead a lot.
That trailer sets up a very Walking Dead / Mad Max 2.
Yeah.
But like specifically, was it Road Warrior?
Road Warrior.
Or was Road Warrior the first one?
No, Road Warrior. The first one was Mad Max.
Okay, so Road Warrior is the second one.
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah.
Like that, breaching the walls, like that's so specifically Road Warrior. And then the crazy weapons, the weird religious undertones, like everything about it is Mad Max.
Right.
The problem is, everything about it is also Rage 2.
Yeah. And Rage 2 is very much based around like that Mad Max kind of idea.
And Rage 2 was also very much announced 6 months ago. Which can't be much longer than they've been working on this game, because they seem to be using the same engine as Far Cry 5. I mean, they're definitely using the same engine. They're probably using the same map. It's very much a Primal situation where it's just slightly changed designs, and then newer weapons and probably slightly different gameplay.
Right. But like
That
the same
is
map, basically.
the same map. And that's like building the game from the ground up is one story. Like that's 2 years.
Right.
But when you have the power that the largest independent quote unquote developer for games has, which is Ubisoft.
Right.
And independent is loose. Like
Oh,
they're
yeah?
just I mean, we're talking they have offices all over the world. They are not independent.
They really aren't.
But they call themselves that, and theoretically they're not owned by somebody, so you can say that. But that's like saying Amazon is independent.
Not in the least.
Right. So to be able to build that in 9 months, I could totally see it happening.
Right. Because maybe they were trying to recoup a little bit more money.
But, or maybe it didn't have that weird, like, fluorescent neon pink thing going, like, specifically from Rage 2.
Which is weird.
Well, who's known more?
What?
Who's known more right now?
That's
like,
true.
FarCry. It's the name brand. So it's almost like a... It's almost like... It's tough to explain. I don't think there's much like it in video games. Madden.
Yeah.
Okay, Madden's a great example. For 8 years, 9 years, however long they were making 2K football,
Yeah.
however long they did that, 2K was consistently better, but Madden sold better because it was the name brand.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the problem they're going to suffer with Rage versus Far Cry. And not that Far Cry will be bad, just that it'll be the same, which is something Ubisoft's kind of known for. It's making really good games, but the same as they were last time, with slight changes. And Rage looks just like off the wall, insane, and it's very easy to take your already built game and make it slightly insane.
Right.
And Rage is like ground up. It's a completely different game than Rage 1 was. And the only thing it has going for it is the first month, because Rage... Actually, maybe not. I think they're both March.
Are they both March release?
I think they might be. I was going to say Rage is February, but I think it's March.
Unless they were like, they really wanted to beat them to the market in that way? I don't know.
I don't know, man. Like, there's such a thing as hurting yourself. Battleborn and Overwatch, that's how you kill a brand. Because
Right.
Battleborn was a thing that was going to be great,
Right.
and the same day it released, Activision's like, hey, guess what, guys? You know that Overwatch you're all hyped for with the Blizzard trailers and we have those cool cartoons? Our beta is going to start the day Battleborn comes out. It's free. Just try it. Like, that's mean.
That is mean. And
that's
very
why,
cutthroat.
That's why Overwatch is still around. And
That is
Battleborn
true.
was DOA.
Yeah, like a while ago.
The first couple of weeks. Like,
Yeah.
it was like 3 weeks in. A Fallout or a Battlefield 5 situation.
Okay.
Which, not to toot my own horn, but I called Battlefield 5 4 months ago.
Right.
But where it's like half price 2 weeks later.
Yes. But it's, and this one I definitely see, like, there's some elements of The Walking Dead in it. Like, I get what they're trying to do. Like, hey, this is, kind of maybe referencing, like, The Last of Us kind of stuff. Because, the sequel to The Last of Us kind of was this same kind of, like, flow to it as well. Like, post-apocalyptic, but, like, society has just ended. But, it's just people being jerks to each other and forming their own groups and, like, that kind of thing. So it could be, it's going to be interesting to see what, how it plays out.
I want to get another bear to hang out with me named Cheeseburger.
There's a bear named Cheeseburger?
Far Cry 5, yeah.
And what does he do?
Like, you just call him, he's like an assistant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just hangs out, and like, you can send him to attack things.
And he's just like...
It's just a big bear named Cheeseburger.
Why is he eat cheeseburgers?
No, it's just his name.
It's just his name? They were like,
Don't
hey...
judge him.
It's like, I think this guy looks like a cheeseburger, so I'm going to call him a cheeseburger.
There's that. I mean, I think there's 3 or 4 main assistants in each territory, and there's 3 territories. There's always an animal.
Okay.
So there's, I think a cougar, a dog, and then Cheeseburger the bear. Maybe it's not a cougar. I don't
Well, we
It's
don't
a
call
cat.
them cougars anymore. It's just older ladies who
Wow.
who like younger men.
There is one of those too, but she's a pilot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's hilarious. Also a big potty mouth. She's the Betty White of pilots.
Oh,
in
nice.
Far Cry 5.
No, but that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's a great game. You can carry, you can have one animal and one person with you, or two people with you, but why would you not have an animal?
Of course.
Really crazy people?
Yeah.
I always have the dog with me, Boomer. He just follows me around, sniffs out enemies, and we kill them together.
See, that seems like a fun thing.
Feast on their bodies. I'm
Oh
just
my
kidding about
wow.
that last part. Boomer probably does. I don't want to judge him.
Yeah. He likes to bite their faces off, like good little doggies do. So, but yeah, I will, of course, when that gets released, we'll definitely, check it out or whatever. So, the other day, me and Bob went and saw a little movie. We had heard... Yes. And, yesterday, we had I had heard good things about it. And
I read that it was, the best reviewed one of its series.
Right. And I was like, I don't know, another Spider-Man movie, but then I saw a couple things about the animation and what they did and all this stuff, and I was like, you know what, it's definitely worth checking out. People are talking about it and they saying it's one of their favorite Spider-Man movies. So we saw Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse, which is actually a reference to a series they did, I'm going to say 4 years ago maybe, in the comics, where they were well, there's been so many different types of versions of Spider-Man, why don't we do a whole series about it? And they did a really good long story. I think it was a year-long story of all the different, spider people. Because it's not just Spider-Man, there's Spider-Woman, and there's 5 of those too, and Spider-Gwen, and all these other versions of Spider-Man, Cosmic Spider-Man, and Spider-Man that's a pig, and
Spider-Ham is his name.
Spider-Ham, and then there's Spider-Punk, and then there's the Spider-Man in India. There's all this different stuff. So they this movie kind of, what is it?
Is it Peter Patel?
Peter Patel?
The Indian one?
Oh, the Indian Spider-Man? I don't know. Maybe. I forget it. The whole, his whole story. But he was actually a Spider-Man they had, a while ago, and then they were well, do Into the Spider-Verse stuff. So, this is going to have some spoilers in it, so if you want to not hear about, if you haven't seen it, just skip ahead or whatever. So it starts off, story of the typical story of Spider-Man. He saves the day, blah blah blah. All and it has a montage of him just saving the world over and over again,
and dancing,
and making a Christmas album. Yep. Which was my favorite part. I was like, oh man, they really dug into that Christmas album. And it takes place kind of in the Ultimate Universe. So it's that version of Peter Parker. And then there's this kid, Miles Morales, and then you get his backstory, and then where they cross, and he gets bitten by a radioactive spider. And that actually comes from the story that Norman Osborn was trying to make more Spider-Men, so to speak, same as Peter was, got bitten by the spider and got those powers. And this one seems to be kind of that same vein, where it's just a spider from maybe another dimension or something like that got onto Miles and gave him spider powers. And it becomes a story like a mentoring kind of thing, and then kind of realizing, you don't have to do this whole thing by yourself. Yeah. But it was good. They introduced a bunch of spider, people. Well, not even people. There's a pig. So, there's, of course, the main Spider-Man from that universe dies. Miles is going to take over as the new Spider-Man, but he's too raw and he doesn't know what to do, but he made a promise to help him out, and it all goes back to like the Kingpin has a machine that opens dimensions, and Peter's fighting the Green Goblin, and he gets put in there, and it kind of like pulls all these other Spider people into that universe, and then the machine blows up, and he dies, and now it's just like Miles is still trying to fulfill his promise, which is to destroy the machine. And to help him out, there's like a Spider-Man from another universe who's like a little bit older. Mm-hmm. He has a problem with his wife, like Mary Jane, and then also Spider-Gwen, which is Gwen Stacy, who becomes Spider-Man or Spider-Woman. Peter Porker, who is Spider-Ham, which is kind of like if Spider-Man was like they were just anthropomorphic animals, and then Spider-Man Noir, which is Spider-Man in the 1930s.
Oh, I'm waiting for you to explain this next one.
Which one?
The next one that you have to explain.
No, the animated Spider.
Yeah.
So then there's Penny Parker, and Penny Parker is kind of like the anime version of Spider-Man, where she's her father made a robot, and the robot is kind of like their version of Spider-Man, or like if you ever saw Evangelion or something like that, and like just typical like kind of like a little girl in this like spider robot that's like her friend and stuff, and also I guess has spider-ish powers.
It's weird. She gets so sad.
Yeah, with the robot dying.
Yeah,
like maybe just
but
because
the robot's like the spider inside it is fine.
Right.
They're still like best buds.
Yeah.
Why is she so sad about that?
I don't know. She loved that robot. Her father made that robot.
There's two things that bug me about that movie.
Okay.
That's one.
Bug you? As in spider bug you?
Well, I mean, the pun wasn't intended, but
yeah.
I do appreciate that.
But she's also like a little girl. She's just like, I'm upset because they broke my toys.
But the other is, the very beginning of the movie is like, Spider-Man goes into like, we're not going to talk about origins.
Right.
And then you get the origins for every Spider-Man.
Every character. That was definitely a gag that they just kept punching you in the face with. It's like, we're gonna do this one more time, people.
But the entire movie was one origin story for Miles Morales. I don't know.
Yeah. And that was probably the very inventive what they did with Miles. It was like when he gets bit by the spider, it almost becomes very comic book like. He gets like the word balloons and all that kind of stuff, and there's like even like parts where the thought balloons, and it kind of mirrors where like some aspects of Peter's story, but also not. Like there's a whole thing with his uncle and so forth, and it's actually pretty good. I thought like they handled Miles' story pretty well.
Yeah, he was fine.
Yeah, and he doesn't get it right away, which is kind of what Spider-Man's thing was when he first got his power. It's like he loses a lot. He always gets beat up. And that is kind of like what they talk about is the heart of Spider-Man. It's just like he gets knocked down, but he always gets back up.
All right, Chumbawamba.
I know.
You were trying so hard.
I was so not to say that. I was just like, I get knocked down, but I get up again.
That's his thing.
They might as well have been playing that song. But they do reference that quite a bit, which is like, they even, like, the other people who are, like, this, that have the spider powers are like, it's like, get up, like, what happens when you get into a fight and, like, you get knocked down because you're going to. Can you get back up again and keep fighting? So it is kind of like a good take on that. And that is kind of like the heart of Spider-Man. Just never giving up, just like always like pushing forward. So I think they did a good job. The animation was outstanding. I feel like you want to say something.
No, I was just thinking. There was like another weird thing in the movie that I noticed, but it's not a big deal.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of weird references in there.
Well, every time they notice each other as spider people, they have like that spider sense thing.
Yeah, the spider sense thing.
Except for when Gwen meets Peter.
That is kind of like a weird thing too. You mean when she meets Miles?
When she meets Miles and the second time, even I don't think that happens then either. He just sticks himself to her hair.
Well, I also think his powers are starting to just come in, and he's like freaking out. So it's probably like, even if that, like, she notices him, like, that stuff happening, and she kind of realizes what's going on. But he can't, like, figure out, like, why, like, all of a sudden, like, he can, you know,
super sticky.
Super sticky. He's like senses. He grew like a little bit taller. Like it's all this kind of crazy stuff, and then his, like, you know, he becomes more aware of the world around him. And it was interesting that his powers are a little bit different. Like he definitely has the sticking thing, but it's and the agility and all that kind of stuff and the strength. But he has actually, like, he can shock people. I guess you call them, like, spider venom bolts or something like that.
I think they call them venom bolts.
Yeah, which is, I think there was another version of Spider-Man that had, like, something similar like that. And then also he could turn invisible and camouflage himself. But I don't think Miles actually has that ability. They might have just put that in there. I'm trying to think if he actually has that power or not, but I don't know. But it was good. It was interesting. Like, they even threw in, like, the stuff where if you look in, like, Miles' phone, he has, like, I think it's, like, Steve Ditko's number and Brian Michael Bendis' number. They also had, like, the artist who came up with his costume, Sarah Pichelli's number, I think, was in there, like, saved in their, like, contacts in the phone. There's a Hitchhiker's Guide reference, which is the number 42. There's a bunch of, like, little Easter eggs. Stan Lee makes a cameo in that, and also I like that they actually put his, you know, a quote from him at the end. I thought that was really well done. I'm trying to think of, like, any, like, other, like, Easter eggs and stuff like they put in there. I like their version of Doc Ock, which is a female Doc Ock. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah. I thought it was solid throughout, although I don't know if it's the best one.
Best one.
Best Spider-Man movie?
Best Spider-Man movie?
I'd say I'd still give that to Homecoming.
Really?
I thought Homecoming, or 2.
2, I was going to say,
2.
The Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2.
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I mean, original 2 or Homecoming, I think they're both brilliant.
I think they, I think they'd both do a really great job.
2, man, I don't know. I still might go with Homecoming. I think I go with my initial assessment on that.
Yeah.
Just something about that awkward car ride.
Oh, the one with Batman?
With
Michael Keaton?
Vulture.
Yes, the Vulture.
I thought that was just so intense, and I don't know if 2 ever had that, really. Like, 2's very 90s comic booky.
Yes.
And Homecoming is very modern comic booky.
Right. Yeah, the whole part, like, driving to the dance and they're talking in the car together, yeah.
2 might be the truest to his character. As a comic character, Peter Parker. But I think Homecoming, I'd like that better as a movie.
Yeah, I think so, too. But 2 is still really good.
Yeah, no, they're both great.
Yeah.
But I don't know how this ended up being the best reviewed of all time.
Of the Spider-Man movies? I don't know. I think it was just... It was good that they did something different and not did what they did with Amazing Spider-Man, which is pretty much... For some reason, they told the same story again, which is the origin story of Spider-Man, which is just like, you don't need to do that anymore.
Which is what they did.
Which is what they did.
They just did it differently.
Differently, but also...
They actually told it like 8 times.
I know. But they didn't really go into the whole Uncle Ben of it all.
No, they just renamed Uncle Ben.
No, they didn't. Who did they read? They didn't...
The other uncle.
Well, but he's an actual character from...
I know.
That's Miles' uncle.
But what happens? His uncle dies.
Right.
And his spider powers come into fruition.
Yeah, but he already had those spider powers.
Right, but when do they become, like, usable?
Well, he starts getting control of them. But actually, I think he gets more control of them when he starts talking to his dad. Or his dad, like, talks to him about it. Kind of, like...
Yeah, I don't want to lose his dad again. And I know I'm going to.
What, you think the PS4?
Yeah.
Like that
It
happening.
was rough.
Yeah, that was rough.
Don't break my heart, games.
Good game though.
It was.
Yeah.
Oh, Tombstone was in that.
Oh, Tombstone was in that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They throw in some Spider-Man villains in here. I was like, Giant Green Goblin. That's from the Ultimate Universe kind of version.
Very Ultimates.
Very Ultimates, but also I think he's even bigger. Like I was like, Green Goblin's big, but they like made him like giant size.
Look at Kingpin.
Kingpin is also giant size, which I did like. I think the portrait that they showed was a reference to a Bill Sienkiewicz painting he once did of the Kingpin, which I thought was interesting for like a Daredevil series. But yeah, it was like interesting that they actually had it. He was like boxy and big and stuff. Everybody definitely had like kind of like their own silhouetted shape to them. I really liked it.
Yeah. They were all... everything about it, it was probably the most visually interesting movie this year so far.
Yeah. Especially with, like, they incorporate, like, the graffiti art aspect to it, and also the comic book art where they have, like, the dots and the lines in certain parts of it. They even do something which is interesting that they did it this way, but I think it gave it a distinct style, which is what they call animating on the twos. So in 3D animation, because of the nature of it, you can make things very smooth in 3D animation. But in 2D animation, when you're doing the keyframes, like usually, I think it's like if you want something to look smooth, you actually have to put in more frames. And this one is like they actually took out a couple more frames, so things look slightly jerky sometimes. So it looks more like 2D animation, which I thought was kind of an interesting choice. You know, they took out, like
these guys know what they're doing. Because you said those in the Lego Movie guys?
Yeah, the Lego Movie guys. And I think this guy actually, one of the other directors on this was the guy, I'm going to blank on his name, but he directed Rise of the Guardians.
Oh.
Yeah.
The Owls of Ga'Hoole.
No.
Legends of the Guardians.
That's Legends of the Guardians.
It's so weird. Santa Claus.
Yes, Santa Claus. And Chris Pine as Jack Frost.
Which is probably how they got him.
Yeah, they were like, "Hey, Chris, you want to do Spider-Man and sing a Christmas album?"
Okay.
Yeah, man. Like, sure, I'd love to.
And the guy from New Girl is other Spider-Man. Out of Shape Spider-Man.
Out of Shape Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think he was also in what? This Is the Police? Was that the name of the movie?
I think so. And he was good. He was really funny. And Tag. I think he was in Tag too.
I didn't see it, but yeah, I'm sure he was.
With Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, I really like This Is the Police.
Yeah.
With young Damon Wayans.
Okay.
The junior.
All right.
It's his kid. Why are you looking at me like this?
I'm not looking at you.
Alright, whatever, dude.
I'm not looking at you weird.
Alright. Weird me out, man.
I'm not looking at you weird. But, yeah, I think they did a great job. The colors were great. The characterizations of everybody. Like, Gwen had, like, a dancer's background, so her moves are very, like, fluid and dancer-like. Spider-Ham had the more, like, basically just a cartoon character, and he had, like, those kind of moves where he, like, pulls the anvils out of nowhere and sledgehammers, and he's kind of, like, wacky, but, still Spider-Man. And Spider-Man Noir is very much like a 1930s, like, private eye detective, like, hard-boiled kind of, like, thing, like Sin City. And, like, that's reflected in the way he fought and moved and stuff. So, yeah, I think everybody had, like, their own style. I really like that about it.
I agree.
Yeah. So, then, we're getting to deep spoilers here. At the very, very end, they actually reference another character, Spider-Man 2099, from the 90s, which I was really surprised, but they did do one thing that was interesting. His hologram AI, who was talking to him, she usually looks like Marilyn Monroe, but I think they made her look almost like Lady Gaga or something. I'm trying to think how she looked. She looked very different, but interesting. And then they have a thing where he's like, now he can travel between like different dimensions, I guess, or whatever, and he goes to this Spider-Man from '67 cartoon one. which was great.
They recreate the meme.
And they recreated the pointing thing. It was like, you're pointing at me, you're pointing at me. Like, I was just like, it's too good. It's too good.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe they'll do a sequel?
Oh, they're definitely doing a sequel.
It had to have made money.
All the money.
All the money?
It made all the money over the weekend.
I'm just glad it did, because, I want there to be different things, comic book movies that try different things.
Yes, and I think these guys who do the Lego stuff, I think they really are good at, like, getting to the essence of a character. Like, even the Lego Batman movie, I think, had a good, like, this is the essence of what Batman is kind of thing.
Can you imagine what they would have done with Solo if they'd have been allowed to finish it?
Yeah.
That's scary stuff.
Yeah.
It's scary stuff. They should have been allowed.
They should have. I think it would have been a much different movie.
I mean, it's not that it was a good movie.
It was still a good movie. I'm not saying that Ron Howard didn't do a good job with what he had, but I think it would have been much different if they would have just, like, let them kind of, like, do what they do.
Yeah, that's the worst thing. I think the toughest thing out there would be to go and make a great movie, and it happens all the time, with superheroes especially. You make a brilliant independent film, and then the next thing you do is just a big studio picks you up and they're like, work on this project, and you have to follow their ridiculous rules.
Yeah, there is some limitations that they put on you.
I mean, look at, what's his name, Trank.
Yeah.
That's probably the perfect example of, like, destroying a man. Has he done anything else?
No, and they were gonna give him, like, a Boba Fett movie kind of thing, and then just, like, all that disappeared on him.
Josh Trank made this great superhero independent film. I would say independent, pretty much.
Yeah, and even Chronicle is, I don't know if I'd really even call it a superhero, but it kind of reminded me of Carrie, or, like, Akira, or, like, something in that vein. Like, not necessarily a superhero thing, but just, like, this is what happens when you give teenagers powers and stuff,
Yeah, and it was just a great movie, and then they were like, hey, make Fantastic Four, and he's like, cool, I got this great vision, here's what I want to do, and then the studio interfered, and then you end up with Fan Four Stick.
Yes, Fan Four Stick, which, what garbage that was.
It was rough.
I think I watched, like, 5 minutes of it.
You didn't finish it?
No.
Oh, I finished that movie.
No,
you need to finish that movie.
I don't think so. And the 5 minutes I saw was just, like, the Doctor Doom part of it.
Oh, the hallway?
The hallway thing. Because I had heard so much about it. Yeah. So I was like, that's all I need to see. Let's just remember this.
And then, now he's dead to the world. Like, he went nuts.
I think he's... Well, but I think he did a movie recently, didn't he? I can't think of what it is, but I think he did, like, a movie
hopefully.
Not that long ago.
I hope it doesn't disappear, because you could see that's somebody with talent. And it's the same thing, like, everybody hates on Rian Johnson now.
Yeah.
Right? And he made Brick, which was amazing. He made Brothers Bloom, which was amazing. He made Looper, which was bigger budget, but still really good.
Yeah.
And then they were like, alright, we're giving you Star Wars. Get ready for the most hate you can ever experience in your life.
And honestly, I think that came from more of this. I liked his version of the Star Wars movie he made. I think what the fan base was not expecting was they had too much. And I think it was almost even wise that JJ kind of left out Luke Skywalker from that first movie, because I think knowing what happened to him and stuff would have taken up too much of that movie. But I think what he did in the second one was actually, I think it was good. I think it was like an interesting kind of like story that way.
Doesn't matter, because the fans hate it.
Yeah, the fans hated it. JJ had to come back. I don't know. I don't know. I think there is people that I've seen some stuff that people talk about. They love the Yoda scene where he talks about like what a great teacher failure is, which I think is a great sentiment. The whole thing where the explanation of the Force, like that Luke gives to Rey, I think that's great. It had one of the most amazing visual shots I've never seen in anything, which was like going to light speed through something else. Like I was like, I've never seen that in a Star Wars movie or any like reference anywhere. what happens when you collide with something, in light speed. What happens to the objects or whatever. I think, yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, people are, like, weird and fickle about, like, about, I don't know, rabid fan bases sometimes judge things too harshly.
It's not just that, it's just, the greatest artists work within the realm of their own limitations and not somebody else's.
Right.
Right? I don't think there's anybody out there who does pure, directed art, and it looks better than anything they could create on their own.
Right.
And I think that's... maybe there is.
Right.
But for the most part, film is art. Right? And this feels like... the Spider-Man, to bring it back, this Spider-Man film feels like they were allowed to do what they wanted.
Yes.
And you can tell when movies aren't.
Right.
Like when directors aren't allowed to do what they want. And it's just...
yeah. And obviously, these people who made this movie are huge Spider-Man fans.
Oh, yeah.
There were Easter eggs I didn't even think about being in there. I was like, oh, that is kind of like a thing from this or a thing from that. And I was like, that's crazy that they went that detailed and, like, not only, like, referencing the movie stuff, but the comic stuff, like, all of it. I think they did a great job. The cartoons, like, everything.
Goes in my list of prettiest movies.
Yeah.
With Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah, Mad Max Fury Road is a great movie as well.
It's just so cool. Like, the whole movie, everything about it is so stylish.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. I mean, but that director's crazy, too.
He is, and he made it when he was, like, 70-something.
Yeah.
Which I'm just, like, that just shows you, like, somebody who's not new to the game and can still, like, put something out there that, like, will influence other artists and stuff, like, later on.
And he hadn't been doing anything. It's not like he just, like, he was fresh off of 10 great projects. Like,
right.
This guy hadn't worked in, like, 30 years or something crazy.
Yeah.
And he puts out probably the coolest looking movie of the last 15 years at that time.
Yeah. And just amazing job. But, I definitely would recommend going to see Into the Spider-Verse. I think it is something to see on the big screen, rather than like something just in your living room. I don't know. There's something about being in a theater with people and hearing reactions to stuff, and I think it was good. But yeah, we could keep going on and on, but we're running out of time here. But of course, let us know what you think. If you have your own opinions of this or any of the things that we talked about, you can contact us or hashtag it Precarious Pixels. Of course, we're always on Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube. Like, you can always like leave comments for us or whatever to get in contact. And you can find me at Tim Martinek on the Instagrams, and you can find Bob.
I'm on Twitter at Martin MARTON_Bob, or I'm on Instagram at Bob J Martin.
Right.
MARTON still. It's spelled weird. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
I'll have to come up with like a cool moniker so people can remember it. It's like Thwipmaster.
Thwipmaster?
Thwipmaster. Like, that's the Spider-Man sound.
There's another dimension in the Bob verse where you are Thwipmaster.
Yeah, but I'm like Thwipmaster 312. Because, like, I'm sure Thwipmaster's already taken. Like, somebody had to have thought of that epic name.
Right. Some huge Spider-Man fan is definitely, like, took that.
What if it was, like, Thwipmaster Spidey?
Ooh.
That's a lot to type, though.
That is a lot.
I want it to be, like, Vitamin B12.
Vitamin B12?
Yeah. Like
sure.
That singer Vitamin C. You remember, she did that graduation song, I think, in, like, the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
When Pink became famous and Vitamin C was like, I'm going to dye my hair orange and be famous. Then everybody forgot about her 5 minutes later.
Yeah, she had a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
And it was, everybody used that song in their graduation.
And then they didn't anymore. Then it was, like, Back to Here's to the Night with Eve 6.
Yeah. Or, a lot of people like the Green Day song.
Oh, yeah, The Time of Our Lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then it became Graduate by Third Eye Blind, I'm sure, at some point.
Sure.
Can I do the the one thing I just wanted to do that.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So as like a sad aside, I just wanted to say good luck to the guys from Super Best Friends.
Yes.
9 years is an amazing run in anything.
Right.
And they're YouTubers. They were an awesome group. If you haven't watched any of their videos, go watch it. Any of the Super Best Friends play or Two Best Friends plays on like Machinima. That's where they started, and then they had their own channel. But
right.
They're the people who made me believe that I could actually do a podcast.
Yes.
And I don't think I'd be... I don't know. I don't think I'd be the person I am, know the things I know. They're just... They broke up, and it was a big shame, and it made me very sad. And I'm sure, others, Tim, I'm sure.
Yeah, I loved when they did their, reviews, history of, this, Street Fighter art and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the box art critiques.
The box art critiques and stuff.
Those are great, but yeah, it really hurt. So this was like a big loss we had this past Sunday, and I'd been following them for probably close to those 9 years, and some of their videos helped me through a tough time in my life. So anyway, hopefully, our stuff helps you guys a little bit, and I don't think we'll ever have the same effect as they do. I hope someday maybe we do.
Maybe we will.
But I just wanted to thank them and wish them the very best, and say I'm sorry to hear that happen, but I'm sure they're all because there's 3 of them, and before there were even 4. I hope they all do great on their own. So check out some of their stuff.
And maybe this is just maybe they just need a break. 9 years is a long run, and maybe they just kind of need a break to do their own things for a while, and maybe they'll come back together.
We can all pray.
Yeah.
Good luck to the Zaibatsu.
The Zaibatsu?
That's what they call themselves.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So, good luck, guys. And hopefully, they'll come back together on their own. Sometimes if, what they say, if you love something, let it go. And if it comes back, it's true. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm really tired. I have no idea where that analogy came from. But, yeah, I'm going to miss the Super Best Friends podcast. I think it was a great one.
I think so, too. Their YouTube videos as well.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever laughed so hard as when they did their Star Trek playthrough.
Okay. Which Star Trek?
They had the Star Trek game based on the movies, but it was a third-person shooter.
Okay.
And they figured out this really cool thing where if you pulled out the phaser or the tricorder,
right,
it for some reason messed with perspective. So you'd be standing there, your Chris Pine or your Silas.
Okay. Spock.
Spock. I blanked on what is the guy's name? Zachary Quinto, yeah. When you pulled out the phaser, whatever was near you just stayed super large, but you for some reason got tiny. So they had a lot of fun just messing around. It was probably the best. If you haven't watched it, Two Best Friends play Star Trek.
Yeah.
The Machinima one. If you would just want to laugh if you're having a bad day, just put that on, and it is the funniest video I think I've ever seen on YouTube.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say thank them and wish them luck. And I'm sorry, that took way too long with it.
No, it's okay. All right, but we're going to end it there. Good luck, guys. And, of course, we'll be talking to you next week. So, we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
To do a little redesigning with us, you can find Bob at Martin, MARTON _BOB, on Twitter. And you can find me on Instagram at Tim Martinek, all one word, TIMMARTINEC. And you can join in us, have some fun, do your redesigns for this week's redesign. It's a lot of fun for us to do this, but we like to see fresh ideas and fresh artists doing what they do as well. You can also hashtag it Precarious Pixels and we'll find it as well.